of the other provinces as well as the countries within the region. With the two harbours, Richards Bay and Durban, within our province's boundaries, as well as the state-of-the-art dual trade port, which boasts of the agri-zone and cyber port, the cargo terminal, as well as the King Shaka International Airport, we appreciate that we can create win-win partnership for our sister countries in our region. MEC Mabuya Kulu should have been with us, is actually opening a maritime center of excellence. And one of our strengths is actually the fact that a lot of cargo passes by without even touching our ports, and that if we are organized, we could actually be changing the route so that that comes closer. But part of our strength as a province also refers to the fact that I'm sure we all are aware that 80% of the fuel that gets into this country from the sea comes from the sea, and it comes through Durban, no other place. That also, the fiber optic cable has got quite a lengthy, long distance that traverses our province, and its point of emission into the sea is in KwaZulu-Natal. So literally everything in terms of the geographic features as well as the strategic infrastructure is on our advantage. And this is what we are saying needs to be looked at. And we can only do so if we look at it together and decide what we're going to do to put all of these advantages, all of these opportunities to the advantage of the province. I'm convinced that our sister provinces and neighboring countries can also boast of similar advantages, but it is what we do with these comparative and competitive advantages that matters most. This brings us to the question of who should drive the exploitation of these comparative advantages. As government, we are quite convinced that our own entrepreneurs should lead in this regard. However, this in turn triggers the question, do we have entrepreneurs that can and are ready to utilize these advantages? And this summit must answer that question. While I profess no expertise on the subject of the prevalence of entrepreneurs, I can share with this conference our sense that this is one area where there's a big room for improvement. While we have made strides in fostering culture of entrepreneurship as government, we are acutely aware that our interventions may not have yielded the number and quality of entrepreneurs that our current epoch warrants. Sadly, South Africa's entrepreneurial activity is improving, but still lags behind other emerging nations. According to a study by FNB in 2010, South Africa's entrepreneurship activity as measured by the TEA, that is Total Entrepreneurial Activity, or Early Stage Entrepreneurial Activity Index, stood at 7.8% in 2008, which was greater than in 2006 when it was 5%. But it's still much lower than India and Brazil at 11.5% to 12%. Less than Colombia, which is 24.5%. Less than Mexico, which is 13.1%. And even to the United States, which is 10.8%. TEA measures entrepreneurial activity by looking at the percentage of the active population between 25 and 64 who are entrepreneurs in any given country. This is what we have to address, and address it urgently if we are to be competitive and grow the economy of this province and the country as a whole. In our assessment, if our assessment is correct, then it means that the prospect of local entrepreneurs leading the charge insofar as growing the economy of the region is concerned, then we need to do something drastic, and we have to do it now. The words of W.E.B. Du Bois bear much relevance to the speed with which we need to move, and I want to quote, "Now is the accepted time, not tomorrow. Not some more convenient season. It is today that our best work can be done, and not some future day or future year," unquote. So Program Director, at this juncture, the question could rightly be posed as to what the role of government is in turning around the fortunes of our regional economy. The government of our region, through the various SADC structures, have already agreed to the regional economic integration, which is earmarked for finalization by 2018. This is one of its own major step towards step forward. For it is a practical expression of our leaders' support for the region's economic growth. Also, precisely because of our past, our government have worked hard at creating stability in the region. Importantly, we have set aside funds to stimulate the economy and create jobs. In the case of South Africa, for example, the establishment by His Excellency President Jacob Zuma of the Job Creation Fund is well documented. There have also been interventions directly aimed at propping small, micro, and medium enterprises, SMMEs, all with a view to ensure mainstream economic participation by our people. Likewise, our empowerment initiatives have made a huge difference in transforming our economy, but we are not out of the woods yet. Insofar as creating entrepreneurs is concerned, we need to act and act decisively. In this regard, we need to streamline the work of all stakeholders in order to avoid the duplication and abuse of the system. The idea about empowerment initiatives is that they assist entrepreneurs to start out. After a while, entrepreneurs are expected to graduate from these programs to stand on their own. Unfortunately, we observe entrepreneurs who use this definitely time-bound assistance as some form of life support. The reality is that at regional and global levels, the competition is stiff and all entrepreneurs are expected to fend for themselves. In order to create the conditions for entrepreneurs to thrive, it has become clear that the participation of academia, established business, and funding agencies cannot be overemphasized. At this summit, we want to extend an open invitation to all the stakeholders to partner with us as we build new entrepreneurs. In the same breath, all of us should honestly examine ourselves and our modus operandi and approach. In particular, we need to ask ourselves what we are doing to support SMMEs and how entrepreneurship responds to the challenges that our future holds. If we respond to these questions adequately, then we have no doubt that we will be able to realize the potential that our region promises. Excuse me. We are mindful of the fact that we face immediate challenges as a country and a region, such as unacceptable high unemployment rates and poverty. It is for this reason that through the Planning Commission we have unveiled a new Provincial Growth and Development Plan, which provides bold, imaginative, and effective strategies to create the millions of new jobs that this province needs. It also lays out dynamic vision of how we can collectively achieve a more developed, democratic, cohesive, and equitable economy and society in the context of sustained growth. The strategy sets out critical markers for employment creation and growth and identifies viable changes in the structure and character of production that can generate a more inclusive and greener economy. Ladies and gentlemen, the economic script of the world has changed and there is no turning back. As the saying goes, we now have to make sure that we do not only think locally, but we act globally. In our case, whatever we do as government must also take into cognizance that we are part of that SADC region. Part of the programs that the President has put up on this infrastructure program is actually an Africa-wide integration program, electrification, power generation, rail, and etc. However, the reality is that whilst discussions about the directions of countries and provinces happen at high level, all the resolutions and decisions that are taken in such fora must find practical expression at the local level. It is at this local level that the benefits of regional integration will be felt. It is therefore our strong belief that in the future, we should look at how we can ensure that municipalities, which are part of the countries within the SADC region, have their forums or are part of the discussions in order to specifically look at what role they can play in realigning economic fortunes of our region. If we have twinning arrangements within the cities that are from foreign countries across the seas, what is stopping us from fostering closer relationship between our municipalities in our own region? We recognize that economic development cannot coexist with conflict. It is therefore imperative that we promote peace and stability in the province and the rest of the continent together with an atmosphere that is conducive for investment. The adverse impact of crime to the overall stability of our country cannot be overstressed, and I'm sure we all will agree with this, having just received the crime statistics yesterday. Negative perceptions about our lack of adequate safety and security can have devastating effect on regional investment initiative. As government, we reaffirm our commitment to the fight against crime in our quest to make our country a safe investment destination. Therefore, as I conclude my address, I wish to point out that this infrastructure revolution that we have launched will change the face of KwaZulu-Natal province for many more years to come. The overall government infrastructure expenditure exceeds 200 billion for the next 7 years, and this is a combined investment. We're talking about money that's already been identified. But the size of the investment is much bigger than that, I'm sure. In the course of our discussion, we'll find that out. The KwaZulu-Natal Infrastructure Development Program involves road construction, repair, air freight, rail provision of water, sanitation, improvement and revamping and installation of services where they were previously unavailable, electrification, and other major focus on maritime industry. For this to come to fruition, we are encouraging partnership with the public and private sectors to maximize investment and grow the economy together using infrastructure as a catalyst. It is worth noting that the 18th African Unit Summit, African leaders endorsed the launch of the programs for infrastructure development. This program invites foreign governments, international organizations, and private sector organizations to play an active role in Africa's infrastructural development. We as a provincial government want to use this opportunity to extend an invitation to all of you this morning to come and join hands with us as we start the new chapter in the African history. The infrastructure revolution will surely speed up Africa's economic expansion, and in this case we have indicated our partnership with the Rainbow Push Coalition is also tapping on the links between Africa and the diaspora, something that we believe is just historical, and therefore want to use that as a platform to expand into the rest of the African continent. And as I've said, we believe KwaZulu-Natal should lead the way. Thank you very much.